We'll see with the AG and the cabinet will give us some breathing space. It will not. On 5 grounds, the Speaker should have left office. And his apology to the Parliament last Friday didn't do justice at all. Because when I speak on the motion, I will tell the nation why he too has to go.
Political leader of the ILP, Mr. Jack Warner, thank you very much for speaking to us this evening. Thank you. If we can get back to our discussion, the Attorney General, or the former Attorney General, I should say, Anand Ramlogan, said in his statement this evening that he became a favorite target of forces opposed to the government. What makes this situation this time different from the other situations that the former Attorney General would have been involved in?
Well, this one has apparently evidence that will be in court. You know, so that makes it, and plus someone who says he will corroborate it. So that, I think, put a different spin.
Mr. Daly?
Yes, and I think also whatever the Attorney General may have been involved in, that rightly or wrongly, and I emphasize rightly or wrongly because we must just stick a pin about the presumption of innocence and so on. But rightly or wrongly, really any suggestion, however faint, but supported by evidence, that he's somewhere in the center of a matter where he may be completely clear. Now let's get that very clear. But I think linking the Office of Attorney General to actions against a witness is very hard to survive. You know, you commit some other misdemeanor or alleged misdemeanor, and always let's say alleged. People can get over it. But you see, the Office of Attorney General, as I tried to make in my statement, I don't enjoy some of the things I make statements about because, rightly or wrongly, they hurt people. Whether people are right or wrong, it's hurtful. And so we have to keep emphasizing the presumption of innocence. But at the same time, you know, and we see this in the appointment of Garvin Nicholas, both regimes, for a long time now, are picking sort of people seasoned in raw politics or in partisan politics to be Attorney General. And that has the seeds of a lot of trouble in it. I'm hoping that Mr. Nicholas, who is a very boisterous candidate for Diego Martin East, I think, in the last election, and a very boisterous speaker on behalf of the government, I'm hoping that while he's been in the mother country as ambassador, he might have picked up some Downton Abbey manners. If you look at Downton Abbey, he picked up some English manners. And perhaps he'll be a less combative Attorney General. Attorneys General ought not to be combative on the political scene, because always they have to have the public interest at heart. And so I think this is a problem here, which I emphasize again the Prime Minister conceded. Once anybody points a credible or a slightly credible finger or produces slightly credible evidence, subject always to the presumption of innocence, and the Attorney General has somehow crossed the line between what is his legitimate role and into the administration of justice, his position becomes impossible. Unfortunately, one newspaper said I said he looked for that. I didn't say that. I used the English that I expect Mr. Nicholas to use, that he put himself in an impossible position.
But you keep on saying, and you have said this evening, that this is an integrity matter.
The Prime Minister said so.
Yeah. Are there any checks and balances? How does a government, or is there an organization that can settle this matter?
The first check and balance is the appointers, the rulers must conduct some kind of due diligence. They can't simply say, make my brother-in-law a minister, he's a good guy. And therefore, when you're choosing for these sensitive offices, and let's sound a positive note about something. I don't know Brigadier General Alfonso, other than seeing him around. But at least he has rank, and I believe a reasonable reputation, and I believe he was liked. The talk is on the street that he was liked by his men and so on. So at least he brings some gravitas to the office. Let's sound a positive note. Whether a soldier can make a good minister, we don't have a good track record with that. But the point about it is you can't just bring in somebody because they were a good candidate for Diego Martin East. You have to look at the gravitas and stuff. And these are very high offices. And another one who's escaping scrutiny in all of this, and I try to make the point in my column on Sunday, is the Minister of Finance. We're so busy with these things, all of these other people are passing through the side door. And this resignation or removal of Hammersmith is very, very interesting.
But how much integrity is there when the selection for the very important office of Attorney General is likely to have been selected because of his possible candidacy for Diego Martin East? Is it Diego Martin East,
Yeah.
right?
Northeast or whatever.
Where is their legal track record? Mr. Daly,
No, I accept that. I accept
you know,
that.
where is the legal track record at a time when we are worried about the possible compromising of the office of the Attorney General? Surely the caliber of the person who succeeds must address that issue. Where's the track record with Mr. Nicholas?
Yeah,
And so there's no integrity in this election. What there is a number of people who are going to have 2 or 3 months to up their game, build their profile, and then be presented on a platform. And in that, very quickly, we will move from these issues into the wildness of the platforms. But the point I want to make to you, Martin, is the question about the selection of these persons. I think it's a little more than the people who are selecting. In this case, is the Prime Minister. It is the population who is selecting people without the capacity to make those selections. Because this pickup side that Jack Warner described there, these are people who could be just anybody. Tells you that anybody could become, first of all, a member of the cabinet, and on any given day could become acting Prime Minister of this country. The notion that political parties are bringing layers of capability and competence and track record of public service of persons who have a record to office. We have no experience of that. Is there anyone that has been selected, included in the original cabinet? So it comes down to I think the citizen. What is the citizen's responsibility to ensure that individuals who are voted in, elected, that they choose to elect, that they are convinced that these people have the capability? Or do they simply vote for a vehicle and then leave themselves at the mercy of that vehicle, clearly with no possibility of reining them into public opinion? Because Ram Logan has gone through 4 years of questioning. The Prime Minister only acted when she could no longer avoid acting, when there's an election and when the issue is one that potentially has that may or may not have evidence.
And we have 2 minutes, so Mr. Daly, I'm going to give you 1 minute, and Suniti 1 minute.
Well, I just want to re-emphasize the importance of the presumption of innocence. And I just say as a footnote to what Suniti is saying, we also have this business of bringing them in through the Senate, where you don't even know among the 41 candidates who the likely ministers are. And I think the population must demand that if there is an intention to bring them in through the Senate, we must be told who is going to be brought in through the Senate.
All right, Suniti, you have the final word?
Well, my final word is for the country not to go carried off on all the red herrings. Focus. Become a more responsible electorate. The next issue really is the campaign and the general election. And to not allow the country to be so distracted and destabilized, especially in a period of, income problems, and force all the politicians to declare in detail policy, program, position, and those kinds of things, and to stop buying cat and bag. Because when you do, this is what you end up with.
All right, and thank you very much. And that's how we end tonight's newscast. To our guests, veteran